All right, folks, it is finally here. My first Chicago Bears 2026 mock draft 1.0. I go through all 7 rounds here on today's mock. Now, if we're being technical and literal on the channel, you would find 2 other 2026 mock drafts. In May of 2025, after the 2025 NFL draft, I do this every year, a way too early mock draft. So we did that. And in October during the bye week, I did do a 7-round mock draft. But since we know the Bears draft selection 25th overall, and now that the season is over, we're calling this mock draft 1.0, and the next one will be 2 and 3 and so on and so forth. So this is the first mock of the year. And with it being the first one, no trades. No trades on today's Bears mock draft. I know that might upset some people, but there will be trades in the future. And I'll make a deal for you guys. If you want the next mock draft we do to have at least one trade in it, hit the like button. If we get 1,500 likes on today's mock draft episode, we will do trades on the next Bears mock draft. Okay, let's dive into it. Akheem Mesidor is my selection for the Chicago Bears in the first round, number 25 overall. It's going to take a while for me to get used to the Bears picking this late in the first round, but that's where we're at. Mesidor had an awesome season for Miami. 12.5 sacks, 17.5 TFLs, part of that awesome defensive line that got all the way to the national championship game. I thought at times he was actually the more dominant player than Ruben Bain, but he is older, which we'll talk about here in a second. Look how he graded out per PFF. Over 92 overall and pass rush. He's really good against the run as well. His pass rush win rate is almost 21%, which means 1 out of every 5 pass rush snaps, he's winning that rep, or he's generating a pressure. And then run stop rate of almost 5%. That's a high number as well. Now, the big downside here is he turns 25 in April, and a couple of years ago, he had a foot injury that cut his season short, which is why he got an extra year here. He got a medical red shirt from that season, 6-year college player. So, look, if you're drafting a guy who's going to be 25, he's got to be able to contribute right away, right? You know, the Bears tried that with Velus Jones, much less talented and way less skins on the wall. Also, F. Velus, we all know why. Mesidor is more proven, clearly, at a more premium position. But if you miss, it's kind of brutal because he's already 25 years old. But I think this is a plug-and-play type of player. I think if you just stacked up all the pass rushers in this draft, like, hey, who's going to contribute the most right away? I think Mesidor would be at or near the top of that list. And, you know, if you don't make a big splash for a Max Crosby or, you know, maybe you don't land a Trey Hendrickson or something like that, you draft Mesidor. He competes with Austin Booker to start opposite of Montez Sweat, and the other guy's your number 3. That's an improvement over what you currently have. I think he would contribute immediately. Whether or not it's as a starter, I don't know. He's also about 275, 280. I think he can kick inside some in the NFL, especially on pass down. So I like the versatility there for Mesidor. So I'm a big fan of his game. If he was 21, I think he'd be a top 5, top 7 pick. But he's 24, going to be 25 in April. You know, that's almost a full extra contract you're losing out on. So you need him to be good right away. And by year 2, you need him to be very good. So, you know, if you're concerned about that, then obviously you have to weigh that in terms of deciding whether or not to draft him. Who is your dream target in round 1? It can be a guy to trade up for. It can be a guy to trade down for. It can be a guy that you think is going to be there at 25 overall. I think Mesidor is a good option. I'd like it even more if you could trade down either later in round 1, 28, 29, 30, or early round 2, maybe get an extra pick and then take him. I think he'll go as early as like 20 and as low as 40 given his age. Okay, round 2, pick number 57, Dillon Thieneman. This is a fun player. You guys should be familiar. He's a Purdue transfer, went to Oregon this year, had a very good season for the Ducks, was a tackling machine, but he's always around the football. That's what I like about this kid. 5 breakups, couple interceptions. His rookie year in the Big Ten at Purdue had 6 interceptions back in 2023, which I really like as well. Remember, the safety position for the Bears, top 4 are all free agents. Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker, Elijah Hicks, Jonathan Owens. If you want to count C.J. Gardner-Johnson, all of those guys are free agents. And the Bears want Kevin Byard back, but even if you bring him back, you still need another starter. It's going to be hard to re-sign Byard and Brisker. So I kind of like the idea, okay, let's get Byard back on a 1 or a 2 year deal, draft a guy like Thieneman or someone else day 2, second, third round. There's your starting safety tandem. You can't fill every hole in free agency or on the trade market. You need a couple of these draft picks to start, and I think Thieneman could start right away. All right, round 3, pick number 89 overall, Jacob Rodriguez. I think mid-third round, early mid-fourth round is going to be the range for the Texas Tech linebacker who just filled up the stat sheet, right? I mean, you look at his last 2 years, 255 tackles, 21.5 TFLs, 5 picks, 6 sacks, 10 breakups, 10 forced fumbles, including 7 this year. He was also, I think, 4th or 5th in the Heisman race this year. He was unbelievable for Texas Tech. He has incredible instincts, reads quarterbacks well, always around the football. The testing will be big. I think if he could can he test middle average? Like if he's in the 4.6 range in the 40, if his agility skills are at least, in the 60, 70th percentile, I'd be happy with that. That will be big because I do think the Bears want to add more speed to this defense, and I don't think he's going to be a burner. But if he's at least middle of the pack with his instincts, I think he can be a really good player and potentially a starter right away. And let's face it, this linebacker position is a complete unknown. TJ Edwards enters the offseason with the serious injury recovery. Tremaine Edmonds is a cut candidate. So I think DeMarco Jackson will be back. He's actually a free agent as well. Should be an asterisk next to him. That's on me. But you're probably going to have to add at least one external linebacker, whether it's in free agency or the draft. And a guy like Jacob Rodriguez in the 3rd or 4th round could make a lot of sense. All right, today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than on Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action next season or before next season. So close the season outright with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when playing your first $5. Find your community on Prize Picks. With the new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. You can also copy lineups you like or use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can follow Prize Picks partners like myself. Search me at HGramNFL and tail or fade my picks with just one click of a button in the app. 2-player lineup for this weekend. Stafford, give me the more on his pass attempts. I'll also take more on Sam Darnold's rushing yards at 7.5. I think he'll have a couple timely scrambles in this game. $20 lineup to win $60 on this 2-player lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups. After you play your first $5 lineup, that is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. Okay, Jude Bowry, Boston College offensive tackle. Does that sound familiar? Yes. Before you ask, he was collegiate teammates with Ozzie Trapillo. Graded out solid. I don't think he's a great talent, but again, it's 4th round, right? You take a lineman in this range, you're probably looking at a swing tackle type in the NFL, and that's kind of the ideal type of player you're looking for here. 2-year starter at left tackle, which is a position that's up in the air right now. I think Ozzie Trapillo is your long-term answer if he can recover from injury, but it sounds like there's basically no chance of him being back for week 1. And Ryan Poles said his rehab will probably go late into next year. We're talking about like next season. So I don't know, October, November, later. You're probably going to have to add a tackle somewhere. So if you can get someone in like the 4th round to compete, to at least be an option over there, Theo Benedict could be in the mix. They might play Joe Thuney at left tackle, but you got to give yourself options if you are the Chicago Bears. All right, Zxavian Harris, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. This guy's a behemoth. 6'8", over 300 pounds is what he's listed at. I'll be curious to see what he measures in and weighs in at the NFL Combine. Pad level can be tough when you're that big. A guy like Deion Walker, who actually played fairly well for the Bills this year, that's probably a comp he's going to get. He's not as big as Walker, who was like 340. I don't think he's that big, but he certainly has the height of a Deion Walker. Pretty productive for the Rebels. You see the breakups there. He's going to be able to get his hands on a lot of footballs just given his height and length. So 5th round, add a guy that you can put into the rotation on your defensive line. Certainly would not be against that. Subscribe to the channel if you want more Bears offseason coverage, news, rumors, draft content, free agency as well. We go live every Monday and Thursday. Take your questions too, so lock us in throughout the offseason. Okay, another Rebel, Harrison Wallace in the 7th round. Now, just to be clear, these mock draft machines, it's still pretty early in the process. You get, late day 3 all over the map. As far as I know, Harrison Wallace could go 4th or 5th round. I mean, he was pretty damn productive this year. Cullen and I did a couple of watch parties on 4 verts with Ole Miss, and he looked like a really good player. So 7th round feels like a steal. You see the production there, almost 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns. But I do think the Bears could add a receiver on day 3 of the draft, especially if they do pivot off of DJ Moore, which is certainly a possibility this offseason. All right, Carsen Ryan, I go tight end with my second 7th round pick. Remember, no 6th round pick because they did a pick swap for Joe Tryon-Shoyinka with the Browns. So 2 7th round picks at this point in time. Not only was Ryan productive for the Cougars as a receiving tight end, he's also one of the highest graded blocking tight ends per Pro Football Focus among draft-eligible tight ends. Earned a 75.3 run block grade. Historically, BYU really values that in their tight end. So, is Durham Smythe back next year? I would certainly like him back. But if not, or even if he is, if we want to bring in a 4th guy to compete for a roster spot, probably would be someone who needs to be able to block. Carsen Ryan was able to do that at the collegiate level very, very well. So there you have it. Bears mock draft 1.0, no trades. Akheem Mesidor is my 1st round pick out of Miami, the edge. My day 2 picks, Dillon Thieneman, the Oregon safety, and Texas Tech linebacker Jacob Rodriguez. Round 4, Jude Bowry, former collegiate teammate of Ozzie Trapillo, 2-year starter at left tackle, which is a position that's in flux right now given Trapillo's injury. And then rounds 5 through 7, Zxavian Harris, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss in the 5th. Harrison Wallace, the Ole Miss receiver in the 7th. And then BYU tight end Carsen Ryan wraps things up at pick number 241. Grade my first mock draft, A, B, C, D, or F. How do you feel about it? What would you do differently? Drop a grade and leave a comment down in the comment section below. My name is Harrison Graham. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, subscribe, but also like that video, like this video. 1,500 likes means we'll do at least 1 trade on our next mock draft.